We talked about Utah State men's basketball yesterday, but there's more of that today as we have Tucker Anderson, Utah State men's basketball forward, with us here on the show. Thanks for joining us, Tucker.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, we've talked a lot about the men's basketball team. A lot of excitement from last season carrying over into this season. Want to talk a little bit about last season. We can kind of start with that and move our way into this offseason and then expectations for next season. But I just want to get your thoughts on first year in Logan here at Utah State, what that experience was like for you playing for the Aggies for Coach Calhoun.
Oh, I mean, it was amazing. Obviously, even not even having the statistical year I wanted to, but, you know, even the start we had going for however many games in a row we would start off with, and just being able to experience that home crowd and just the start we got off to and how well our team meshed together at the beginning of the year, I think was huge for us and ultimately led to the success we had all year.
Was there anything that surprised you about either being in Logan, playing Utah State? Was there anything that just kind of caught you off guard in a good or good or strange way?
I'd say in a funny way. I remember one time, kind of towards the beginning of the season, pulled into one trailer park on the street and got a warning because I didn't know that the snow people came in the morning and had to clean off the street. So the snow and then the mountains is definitely a little different for me, but. I mean, from the second I got up here in the summer, you know, people were asking about me and asking. I remember one of my first days up here, someone had knew me from Central Arkansas, and I was like, I didn't know people even knew about Central Arkansas up here. But, I mean, the overwhelming support in the community is just absolutely incredible. So,
hey, you don't get too much snow down there in Arkansas. Mind you, I spent some time in northwest Arkansas, but not necessarily in Central. I was in Bentonville for a while, and you went to high school in one of the Bentonville high schools, right?
Yes, sir. Bentonville West High School.
Bentonville West, yeah. So I know, didn't Malik Monk go to Bentonville? I know that was a few years before you, but.
Right, yeah. He went to Bentonville High School. Absolute stud there.
So did you ever get to meet him? Or I guess he's probably like 3 or 4 years older than you, so I don't know if you interacted with him much, but it's pretty cool being from the same town as an NBA player, or at least close by where an NBA player is.
Oh, for sure. Watching him as a kid, you know, you see what he did and kind of laid the blueprint for some of the guys there, you know, wanting to be able to accomplish the same things he did. So
I want to ask about Coach Calhoun, because obviously fans are really happy that he stayed. I know you haven't been around for what Utah State went through. The fans basically have trauma from all the different coaches who came and left so quickly. But what can you tell us about Coach Calhoun and what it's like playing for him, especially something that maybe fans wouldn't know about the kind of person he is, about the kind of coach he is behind the scenes?
I just think for Calhoun, the one thing he's just done such a great job with for us is just he really helps us in every aspect of life, not even on the court, but off the court. Even today we had a meeting with a guy just putting team building stuff and talking about how can we be better as a team and with trust and all that, and just obviously he's on the court, just a genius with a playbook and always, you know, calling people for opinions. You know, we had Joe Mazzola on Zoom last year. We had Sam in the gym Monday morning. We just talked to Justin B today. And so just the way he's always, you know, trying to help us get better and just, you know, breaks it down and really helps us, like prepares us for the next level and prepares us for whatever our next step in life might be. I just think he does a really good job with that.
So, no, you mentioned how you didn't have the best statistical season. But how do you feel about your season overall? Because statistics don't necessarily mean everything for even an individual player performance. But how did you feel about your first season on an individual level in Logan?
I count it all as a blessing. You know, at the end of the day, I sit back and look at the season. And obviously, we want to win every single game. We want to make it as far as we can. But you know, for a kid that won 9 games his freshman year and didn't even make the conference tournament in his own league, like going from that to having the success we did and playing in a March Madness game, like it only kind of fuels the fire, makes me want to make it further. And obviously just kind of seeing what this level is like and, you know, what this staff does and what the player development looks like and, you know, what ceiling I can get to through this program.
And how much did all of that impact your decision to stay? Because obviously every year players have a chance to leave if they want. How much of, you know, all that, you know, the success you had, how much did that play into you wanting to stay here in Logan and build on what you have so far with the Aggies?
Oh, huge for sure. I'm a huge trust guy, and when coaches put belief in me, I want to produce for them. And also it's the same thing with our core guys, me, Drake, Jordy, Casey, and Mason. We felt like, like I said, kind of last year, kind of feel the fire, like we saw what we could do, and we knew how far we could get it. And so we just want to build up that. But, yeah, for me, it's just seeing how the coaches believed in me and the opportunities I had. Like, I feel like I'd be kind of a fool to give that up, even if, people are like, well, you didn't play, 30 minutes a game, or you didn't do this, or X, Y, and Z. Like, I have an opportunity here, and I feel like it's really the best one for me.
So we do have one of our texters on the text line before the show sent this in, said he was looking forward to hearing from you on the show today, and he wanted me to tell you that Aggie Nation is thrilled to have you back for another season. He said, I don't think anyone will forget his dagger three-pointer at San Diego State anytime soon, and they can't wait to see your progression next season. But I want to ask about that three-pointer against San Diego State, just how much of a highlight that was for you, and obviously a big three-pointer and obviously contributed directly to a win. Just how much did that kind of shot mean to you as a player and as an individual?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of funny. In one of our team meetings this year, we kind of, everybody wrote like their 10 favorite basketball moments of their life. And for me, obviously, with the recency of it and everything, that's the first thing that pops in my head. But, I mean, just the way it happened and how I was going through a massive slump before, and minutes were kind of going up and down because I wasn't being consistent. And like even that week, like my mom was in the hospital for a little bit, and it was just kind of a tough week at first. And just how everybody had belief in me. And, like that's probably I forget what they were ranked at the time, but just being able, everybody had the confidence in me and being able to make that shot at the time and just kind of, give me the confidence for the rest of the season. Like no matter how many shots I miss or what happens, like I always had guys that had my back.
So how many times have you gone back and watched that play, watched video of it?
I mean, I would say that night I definitely watched it a ton, seeing how many times it was being reposted and all that, and had a bunch of friends and everything text me. But after that, I kind of moved on and did it. But, I mean, every now and then when I went back home, I had people ask me about it, and it doesn't hurt to watch it a time or two again every now and then. So,
yeah, it's always good to remind yourself of those great moments. But shifting toward this offseason and building toward this next season, one of the things that Coach Calhoun mentioned, obviously as of the practice yesterday, got to see you play a little bit, and other people who are seeing some of the clips, they all said that you're bigger. And Calhoun's saying you gained 15 or 20 pounds or so. How much of an emphasis has that been for you as putting on, and he said it's good weight, so it's not like when I put on 15, 20 pounds. That's just pure fat for me. You're putting on good weight. How much of that has been an emphasis for you this offseason?
Oh, it's been a huge thing. Obviously, this league is extremely physical, and there were times that last year I felt like I got bumped off my spot or I wasn't able to play the way I wanted to because of physicality. And so I really put an emphasis on that, and I think I came into college last year under 200, and I'm about like 229 at the beginning of this week. So really just trying to do that and be able to have first my game, rebounding, playing out of post, whatever it might be, but just being able to take it and deal with the physicality that's in this league.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit there. You said what's your playing weight right now?
I've been saying that between 225 and 229, kind of staying around there. But that's just kind of been huge for me to be able to play the way I want to and not get bumped off my spot and be able to add different parts of my game and rebound a little better as well.
So do you expect, because last year you were playing small forward, maybe a little bit of power forward as well in some of those lineups, you expecting maybe to play a little bit more power forward this season and have that be a bit more of your role?
I could see that, but honestly, I think with the depth and the players we have this year that we have a crazy amount of lineups that we can go, and just because of the depth we have. So honestly, I could see me doing a lot of different things this year, honestly, just whatever the team needs. But yeah, I think, I like playing the four last year, and I'm sure I'll play it a good amount this year as well.
We're going to see Tucker Anderson point guard?
I don't know about that. No, we got Drake and Colby and Jordy that all can pass the ball better than I can. So I'll probably leave that up to them with their ball handling and shooting abilities as well.
So one thing I want to ask, a bit of a frivolous question, because I was curious, and I was thinking about heights for all the different players. There's 3 players listed on the roster that are 6'9". You, David Weezy and Adlin Elamine. Which of you is actually the tallest?
I think Adlin might be the tallest out of us. I don't know. It's tough because they both got way longer arms than I do, so I feel like they both look taller than I am. But yeah, they both might be a legit 6'9" and 6'10". So I'd probably say I'm the shortest, and between them two, it's probably close. Coach
was saying Adlin was like 6'10" or 6'11". You think that plays out?
Yeah, I could definitely see it because I think he told me without shoes on he was at least 6'9". So with shoes on, it depends on the shoes he wears, I guess.
Yeah, shoes can add between 1 and 2.5 inches depending on the listing there. Speaking of David and Adlin, you can also throw some of the other freshmen. There are a lot of incoming players on the wings. Adlin, Kingston. What have you seen? Braden in there as well. And Luke, he's not a freshman, but he's coming in from Air Force. A lot of guys added on the wings. What have you seen from those guys? Just how deep is that position that you're at now? How deep is that group?
It's competitive, and I think it makes things really good. If you watch our offense and the way our system is last year, like Kevin does a great job getting our wings off the screens and into the places they want to play at. And so I think it's really good for us. And kind of goes back to the amount of different lineups we can do. Do you want to play a guy like MJ at the 2, or do you want to play, one of the freshmen at the 2 or the 3? I feel like it really helps with our depth and being able to, change different things at certain times depending on, who we're playing or, what our game plan is for that game.
So how much does the length of a lot of these players, because obviously you playing, small forward or power forward, 6'9", that's pretty long for a college player, bringing in a bunch of other 6'9", 6'7" guys. How much do you feel like that length that you guys have, especially where you've gotten so much longer on the wings, how much do you feel like that can impact the defense in terms of just wreaking havoc on other teams with being able to, fill all the passing lanes and be kind of a terror with that matchup zone?
Yeah, no, it's huge for sure. Being able to shrink the floor and, like you said, we're really aggressive in our defense and love to get steals and get out and run. And so being able to have taller guys on those wings and being able to kind of shrink the floor a little bit, helps with us and being able to keep the ball on the perimeter and not letting teams really drive in and get to the paint. And so that'll be huge for us. And, just being able to stop the ball and not let teams do what they want.
So kind of on a similar note, what do you feel like or potentially on a similar note, what do you feel like the strengths of the team are right now? Obviously, early in the process, there's going to be some rough edges on some of the team, but what do you feel like the biggest strengths of the team are going to be this upcoming season? Are they going to be similar to the strengths of last year's team, or will there be some subtle shifts in different things that this year's team is strong at compared to previous teams here in Logan?
Yeah, I definitely think you can take some similarities from last year's team. I think versatility is a huge thing for us. Having bigs that can shoot and playing as well, and just have a ton of different guys that are skilled at being able to catch, dribble, shoot, and do a little bit of everything. So I think that's really a huge strength of our team, along with, I know I keep saying it, but just depth. I mean, we got 15 guys that are all really skilled and can really go. And so I think that'll really help us when it comes to, obviously we're only, I think this is our 3rd week in, so still trying to get a feel for our offense and putting in systems. But so far, our on-ball defense has been better as well, I think. And so just being able to kind of, as we're implementing our system, just be really competitive and guys are showing out their versatility and, all the things we can do with the different skill sets we have on the team.
You mentioned the shooting bigs. I know last year the team had Isaac Johnson, although some of his minutes were a bit inconsistent. But what is it like having some of these shooting bigs where Zach, he comes in, he's a shooting big. Gary Clark, he shoots as well. Carson Templin, he's adding, he's trying to, get a handle on his 3-point shot. How does that really change the dynamic of the offense where it seems like probably most of the time this season, you're probably going to have a center that can shoot a 3-pointer on the court at just about all times?
Right. No, it's huge. Obviously, I feel like today's game is all about spacing and how can you play in space. And so when we have bigs that can pop, it makes teams where their ball screen coverages have to be a little different and they have to rotate a little more. And it just makes them have to think a little more. Having guys that can pick and pop and pick and roll, it just makes things harder for the defense. So I think it'll allow our offense to spread out a little more and give us some more space to work with. And also, make teams kind of have to change their defensive game plans when our bigs start shooting threes.
So I know I already touched on you trying to add some good weight, and this may be similar to that. So I want to ask what the biggest focus for you this offseason is, perhaps aside from maybe adding weight, if that was the biggest focus. What other things have you really tried to hone in on this offseason to prepare for next year?
Right. Obviously, you gotta make some shots in the spectrum this year. Honestly, been working on just being able to take bumps through some of my workouts at home, just being able to play more balanced. Obviously, I'm a taller guy that can dribble, so I want to be able to get in the paint and shoot little mid-range shots and get to my spot and finish over the top of guys, maybe get into the paint more, because I know a lot of teams scout me and try to run me off the line, so that's huge for me. But, yeah, just being able to have more of an impact, even when the threes aren't falling, be able to find different ways to score. Or, I'm still getting better at my on-ball defense and off-ball defense and, just figure out the positioning of that. So that's really just kind of trying to figure out things in this offseason and continue to get better on all those things as well.
You mentioned making shots in the spectrum, because I was looking at your splits and you shot 40% on the road, and I'll just say not 40% in the spectrum. That just seems weird. I don't know. Have you talked to coaches and figured out an explanation for how on earth something where you're a good 3-point shooter? It just seems weird that kind of split would end up happening.
Right. Yeah. No, it was crazy, and obviously, I remember the first time I saw it, and I was like, "That's insane." I think for me, at one point, it's just, and I wanted it so bad for our fans and everybody that comes supports us, and all the fans behind me in warm-ups yelling at me to keep shooting. And obviously, I guess I like playing on the road. It seems like so I just got to really turn it up at home. But I know I'm going to get one of the threes and just got to be ready and trust my work and be ready to knock them down this year.
All right, so last question for me. We'll stick about the spectrum, but we'll talk about the better times. What was your favorite moment in the spectrum all of last year? Playing in front of the herd.
That's tough because, you got people camping out before every single game, and it's just unlike anything you'll ever see. But I think for me, the first thing that pops in my head was Ian's game winner against Boise State, because I just felt like time froze, and you could just hear a pin drop for a second while everybody was waiting to see if that shot was going to go in. And, kind of reminiscent of I think a Kawhi shot when I saw that, the way it bounced around the rim and just kind of felt like that. But I just think, like I said, it just time froze for a little bit, and then he hit it, and we all went crazy.
Yeah, I know. I actually happened to go back and watch that play a couple of days ago, and it's just insane how that play ends up happening. But thank you so much, Tucker, for coming on. We'll go ahead and let you go, but really glad you could come on, talk about last season, talk about this upcoming season. As I know one of the texters said, I share the sentiment that we're really looking forward to seeing you this upcoming season and the improvements that you're going to be making.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be back after this here on the Full Court Press.